So this video is going to be a little bit different, and in this one I will show you the background automation that I have to manage this YouTube channel. Now this channel mainly focuses on Python and DevOps, so it is quite understandable that I will be using Python here and there to automate some things that I want to automate to manage this channel efficiently. For example, templating a YouTube description is a perfect idea for something that I wanted to automate, because sometimes I want to keep some things that are quite the same in my description, like referral links, but a lot of times I also want to change small things. So that's why automating to write a new description is a good candidate for something that I will also show how I automate in this video. Now, if you had some ideas for things that you wanted to automate as well, then this video is really a perfect fit, because I will do a code walkthrough of the project that helped me to automate the things that you just see right now. So it is going to be a very cool video to watch, and let's get started. So you probably noticed that those commands that I showed you are integrated like Windows commands that are recognized by our system. So it is not like Python name of a file.py that I execute like normal Python file that needs to be executed on a system. It is just like a command that is JSC show, right? Shows all the commands that are available with the list of shortcuts that I prepared for my system. So that's a behavior that I wanted to reach, that I will also discuss in a few minutes, and this is something that is achievable with something that is called PyInstaller, which is a library that takes a Python file and converts them into executable. But before that, I'd like to do a showcase of some commands that helps me to automate my background processes on my YouTube channel. So you can see that I have a command that is called YT that is available. Now, as you saw in the introduction, YT has some additional arguments that helps me to create some things. So if I will go ahead and clean the screen first and I will say YT open, this is actually responsible to create a specific structured list of directories that I always want to have for each one of my uploads. For example, for each upload, I want to have a directory that is called code, where I manage the code for this specific upload. And I also want to have a directory that is called takes, which helps me to put all the takes there, and then later on I cut those videos on Adobe Premiere or any other kind of editor. So if I was to go here and say my first upload 2022, something like that, then I can press enter. Then you can see that I have a lot of directories being created. I have a nice animation that displays me this kind of information, and I can prove you that this file is now created. So I will go to another tab in my command line, and I will use this dir command with this specific argument that will help me to sort all the content of this directory by day. So you can see that here we have a new directory being created. And I can use a cd, my first upload 2022, clean the screen, and again use a dir. You can see that I have code directory and takes directory and some more directories that are very useful to just have for this specific project. Now you also noticed that I have this command that is called YT create description. Now, I know that creating a description might be sometimes annoying, so that's why I created a template for my descriptions, and this command is just helpful to replace some placeholders in the template that I prepared for myself. So for example, if I was to say here YT create desk, then you can see that it prepares a YouTube description, and I can just specify my upload folder by saying the exact folder name. So if we will copy that and paste this in here, then you can see that it will notify me working on existing folder. Now let me show you how the template description looks like, and it is actually located in another directory that is called C YouTube templates for myself, and I can do a dir command, and you can see that we have a description text file here, and that's actually how the template file looks like. So you can see that I have some keywords with the $sign, and those are just placeholders that will be replaced once I finish working with this command here. So if we will go to that one, then we can say something like, what is my first hashtag that I want to write in this description? I can say this will replace hashtag 1. I can say this will replace hashtag 2, this will replace hashtag 3, and I can just keep rest of the arguments. And then if I was to go inside this file here by using Windows key R, you can see that we have nice hashtags right there in this line. So that's a very useful command that helps me to prepare descriptions, and that's it from my side. Now I'm going to show you how to integrate this automation project into your system, so you can also go ahead and write those nice commands by only knowing Python. Alright, so now I will go over the project that will help you to integrate commands into your terminal so you can execute it with simple keywords like you saw in the introduction of this video. So in this project you can see that we have some directories like commands and dist, which stands for distribution. And you can also see that I have included a description that will explain what we need to do in order to get started by generating our custom commands with Python files. Now in the commands directory you can see that we have some Python files, and we also got this readme, and we got a base file which is kind of a template file that you can go ahead and write your own code in order to just have your commands going on. And each of the commands could also accept at least one argument, and we will explain this just in a minute. So you can see that I already have a hworld.py file that will be responsible at the end of the day to have a command like hworld, and then it will execute some hello world output, something in that kind, which I will show right now. Okay, so let's go and use the terminal and the repository side by side so we can follow the instructions right there. So the link for sure will be in the description, and now we can go ahead and start working on this. So first things first, we want to git clone the project, and that is achievable by clicking in the code section. You can just click here and that has been copied, and then you can use git clone and then copy the link and run it. I'm not going to run that because I already have cloned this repository. As you can see, if I was to execute dir, you can see that I have all the directories and files as expected. So the next step that we want to do is to cd to that directory, which we have completed, and now we want to execute pip install the requirements. Now this is important that we execute those in our system interpreter, because if one day you will generate a command that will use an external Python library, then you need to include this in the requirements.txt file. So that's the reason I will directly say pip install -r requirements.txt, exactly like in the description, and you can see that this has been completed. And now that we have done this, then we need to go ahead and do some steps that will require us to put this directory in our path environment variable. Now if you don't know what environment variable is, I actually have a tutorial that explains what are environment variables, that focuses on the path environment variable, which is very important to understand in Windows and Linux systems. So I definitely recommend watching if you first time hear about path environment variable. Alright, so you can see that we say here use the Windows key and pause combination to open that window, and then go to the advanced system settings. Then this window will pop up, and then we need to go to environment variables, and then in the system variables we need to add a new one. We need to scroll down and edit this path system variable, and we need to edit that. Now we need to scroll down and click here new to add a new value for the path environment variable, because you can see that this path environment variable has multiple values. So our new value here should be the directory of dist that we just have right here. So in order to have that, then I will just copy this one, and I will go to my new window again, and I will say I will copy that here, and I will use a \dist. So this is important that you specifically point to the dist directory, which you will understand just in a minute why. And now that we have this, we are going to save our changes, and we are going to close the system window. So inside the dist directory we are going to have our executable files, and it is important that those files will be in a directory which our system recognizes as a path environment variable. and the path environment variable is just a convention for an environment variable for different executables. That is why they are accessible by only writing their names. So now that we have done this, then we need to go ahead and execute python run.py. Now let's see what this line will do for us. So this is the project opened in our Python in PyCharm, and you can see that this goes ahead and basically converts the Python file into an executable file, and it does that by default inside the this directory. That is why we have initialized this directory from the beginning, as you will see what is going on when I will go ahead and say python run.py like that. Now you can see that some process is being executed here, and you are just going to see in a minute that our dist directory is going to include hworld.exe file. And if we were to go here, and now you can see that we have this file. Now this means that now we can access whatever is included inside this executable from our command line. And now that we have done this, then if we will go to our terminal, this command might not work, but it is actually working. So I expected that we needed to refresh the terminal, but you can see that it actually works. So when I say hworld, then you can see that we receive hello, thanks for using the command automation by Jim Shapecoding. And where this comes from, so let's take a look. So if we will go to the commands and we will go to the hworld.py file, then you can see that we have here some Python code that is quite familiar to us. And you can see that we have a function that is being called in here with some key-worded arguments. And this print line is actually coming from here. And there is some logic here that basically responsible to accept several arguments. You can also notice that we have here a list with two arguments, which is name and age. Now this means that I can provide in two additional arguments that will be passed as my name and age. So to show you how this will work, then I'm going to now maximize this, and I can now say hworld Jim, for example. And you can see that it shows me the message from the beginning, but it also shows your name is Jim. Now if I was to say here hworld Jim and then something like 25, then you can see that it accepts this one as my age. So the order that you put in your arguments is the order that you can handle it in your Python code. That's the way I structured this project, and that's just very useful for some things that you want to automate, but you also want to pass in different arguments. So that's basically how this command automation project works. If you want to go ahead and generate some more commands for yourself, then you can go ahead and basically copy the base file, because that is a template Python file that you can go ahead and work with it and create your custom command just right now. So you can actually go ahead and use copy and paste this under the commands directory, and let's say first, right? So now we are generating a command that is called first, and I can just say okay. You can see that we have some content here already. I can ignore this because it is installed, and I can go here, and in the pass location in the line 14 we can write some logic that we want to do once we call the first command from our terminal. So again, just for making it simple, I can say print first with some exclamation marks, and now that I have done this, then I can go ahead and use again the python run.py file to generate those commands, to generate all the commands that are under the commands directory. Commands, so-called the Python files that are converted into executables once we run this. So let's wait a minute. Alright, so once this process has been finished, then I can clean the screen and try to see if this will work. And if I write first, then you can see that I receive the output. So that's the life cycle with this project. I hope you will find it useful. If you will have any problems, especially with the part of adding the value to the path environment variable, then let me know in my Discord server or in the comments down below so I can really help you out. And if you enjoyed in this video, be sure to hit the like button and as well as subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my future uploads.